today is Tuesday, February 25th. We're here at our maintenance booth for our regular council meeting. If you would, we're going to stand. Pastor Bob say a blessing, and then we're going to say the pledge of allegiance. And Bob, are you? There you go. Thank you.
Consider a blessing really to bring this prayer for everyone today. If you bow your heads, Father, we thank you always for the things you give us. We know that we are indeed fortunate to have this beautiful resources we have here. We just ask that decisions being made here that we keep that in mind and in each one of us in our hearts. We always ask, Lord, that you would be with us each and every day as we reach out to others and let them know how fortunate we are here in Mexico Beach to be able to enjoy the things that we have. And we're going to ask now for the wisdom that we know that is reserved through you, Lord. We ask for that wisdom to be used today in the decisions that are made. And we're going to ask this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Lindsay, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Kathy?
Here.
Mr. Pollock?
Here.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Key?
Here. Okay, a few things before we move to our agenda. I want to welcome Darrell Key to our city council. This is his first meeting. He was chosen to fill in for the vacant seat vacated by Mr. Putnam. So I just wanted to say, Darrell, welcome aboard. Thank you. Thank you for your interest in service. Also, we have one quick announcement that our Mexico Beach CDC director has. I'm going to let her have the floor.
I'm not here on behalf of CDC, I'm here on behalf of special events, because they didn't appoint me, but I'm sure, unless someone else wants to. Real fast, our 21st annual Gumbo Cook-Off was a huge success, and for those of you who were not able to come out, you missed a real treat, so make sure you make plans to come out next year. But real fast, I want to do a special big thank yous to the city, especially the Public Works and Sanitation Department. They were very, very awesome to help us and met all of our needs and then above and beyond. The fire department was great. They helped with parking as well as table setup, tables breakdown, tent setup. So thank you so much from the fire department. The sheriff's department, thank y'all so much for helping with crowd control and just having a presence, and we appreciate Sheriff Ford being one of the judges. It was nice to have him out. Register Sausage, they donated all the sausage for us. Camp Happy Tummies donated all the hot dogs and supplies. So thanks to both of those organizations. And then everyone who made baked goods, I do not have your name, but there was like 700. So thank you all so much. That was the most baked goods we've seen everywhere. I think y'all beat out Costco and Sam's for baked goods. So thank you all so much for that. And then, of course, all the volunteers who worked the event. Could not have done it without you. I know I'm a one-man band when it comes to CDC on some things, but with special events, I try to hide in the shadows because there's some others that they really take charge and they take the lead, and I'm so grateful to have them. And I'm sure I'm missing someone, so thank you. That's it. So thank you so much.
All right.
Do we have the amount of monies that we made on that?
There's so much, they're still counting.
Okay.
And that's a good thing.
That's a
That's
great
a good
thing.
thing.
There's still some gumbo shirts. If you missed yours, sizes are limited, but they're available at the Welcome Center.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank y'all so much.
All right, on our agenda, a couple of things we want to go over before we start the agenda. The procedural things, Nick, you want to do first?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. In a moment, we'll start consideration of the St. Joe Plan Unit Development Project that has been under consideration here for the last several weeks. So before starting that hearing, there's a procedural item I'd like to address, really two. So this project, it's basically the master plan for roughly a third of the city. I view that as a legislative policy-making kind of action, but some other people might say that's a site-specific application of your codes. And that kind of decision, that's called a quasi-judicial decision. So to be careful today, I want to use some of the procedures from a quasi-judicial type of hearing, even though I don't think they're really required today. So what that means is I'm going to ask you all in a moment to just briefly talk about any conversations you've had for or against this project with other folks outside of the hearing today or the hearing we had 2 weeks ago. And the theory behind that is you're supposed to be able to make your decision based on what you heard today. And if you heard a lot of good stuff before, well, people should know about it. And we have a resolution we adopted at the end of 2015 that says we don't need to do this, but it's still a good idea. It's safer, it's better, it's a better process. People get to hear more information. And if we ever had to deal with a challenge, it'll help us with that step as well. So if we could, I can start with Bobby here on the corner. Just briefly, you don't need to go into a lot of detail. If you haven't spoken to anybody, then that's a good, simple answer. And if you talk to some folks, just briefly summarize what you heard and who you spoke to.
I'm a council person. I hear from a lot of people out here. There's some good, some bad. Everybody got their different opinions. It's no more than what a citizen would want to tell you what they want to do.
And I know that there were some changes based on public comments between last meeting and this meeting. Did you talk to the applicant so they could explain some of that to you?
Yes, I did talk to, thank you.
Okay.
You wanna be in my shoes? I talk to a lot of people. I mean, most of these people in here. And they call me, they ask me, I met with the St. Joe people. I mean, I am a city councilor, I do. This is my job. I've been more than Bobby. So when you tell me the specific people, just turn around and look.
Okay.
I also spoke with St. Joe. I also spoke with many. I had one, Mr. Whittle, requested that I come and speak to him personally, and I did so about the project at his home. I also have spoken to, I don't know the number, but a large number of people that have stopped by to see me, that don't come to these meetings, that have voiced their support.
My turn? The people that I've spoken to hardly ever come to meetings. And they seem to be affirmative to this. And I've talked with several people that are don't want to see anything to do with St. Joe Company. And then I've talked with some that were kind of on the fence. They didn't totally understand what was going to be changed since our last meeting, and so I suggested they come to this meeting. I haven't been threatened with my life or anything, but it's a big deal, and it's probably the biggest one item we've dealt with in quite a while. So that's my piece. Oh, yes. I spoke with St. Joe. I think all of us individually spoke with them last Thursday, which was a very good meeting. Probably the best one that I've had with St. Joe Company. And they told us some things. I asked some things, got some answers, and we'll probably be talking about those later.
I spoke to everybody, and I ran down as many as I could run down and made them stop and talk to me. I think I actually met with Miss Judith Black in her house. I met with Gary Woodham in his house. We talked. I've talked to everybody that I could talk to find out. You know, I'm coming in on the tail end of this thing, but you know, the reason I wanted to be on the council was first I thought I had the experience that we needed. And I wanted to do what is best for Mexico Beach. And I can tell you that if I can wave a magic wand and keep Mexico Beach Mayberry on the Gulf, I'd wave that wand. And I think most everybody here would. I talked with the St. Joe folks. They addressed a lot of the issues that were brought up. I went into one of the P&Z meetings prior, and they addressed, as far as I know, everything that they could address, and it was a very positive meeting. I have made a suggestion on an idea, and I think we're probably gonna cover that today, but everything has been good, and the feelings have been mixed. Some for, some against, and, you know, I'm gonna do the best I can to do what I think's best for the city.
Mayor, that's back to you, and I would just suggest kind of lay out the order of how things will go, so people will know, they'll all have a chance to talk, but they'll know when that chance is.
Okay, yeah, the procedure for today, we're gonna let St. Joe open the meeting with their presentations of their charts and maps. You'll have a chance then to directly ask questions of, both Chris and Bridget. And then we will officially open the public hearing, where then your comments will be directed strictly to the city council. So that's the way we're gonna give Bridget and Chris an opportunity to discuss. As you recall, in the passing of ordinance 741 at the last meeting, there were some areas that were put in there in the ordinance, give them an opportunity to discuss those. Repeating myself, you'll then be allowed to ask questions of St. Joe. Once that's over, officially the public hearing starts, and then, during the public hearing, once we close the public hearing, we close the public hearing. So we don't drag it on. Once it's closed, you folks have your say, we'll bring it to the table.
And the mayor will let you know when it's time for the questions. They'll probably need 15 or 20 minutes to go through their items, but you'll get a chance.
Yeah. Let's give them a chance, and then, like I said, we'll recognize, and again, from previous meeting, to stand in place and direct your questions if you have some. Bridget, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Councilman and everybody for coming out. We have been working hard for the last 2 weeks on updating the plan and making some modifications to the plan that we had presented both at planning and zoning at the last council meeting. Some of the issues that were raised in the ordinance was, and I'm just gonna get right into that and not kind of rehash everything else that we've been through. The first item that was the one entry point for everybody, for all the apartments and the boat ramp. And we've addressed that in a couple of ways. We've shifted 201 apartments to the north. one of the other items that came up was, expansion of the canal and addressing canal traffic. We don't, because the canal is what it is, we don't have a good, firm solution for that. One of the ideas that I think probably would cause more heartache than, resolution would be to remove some of the boat docks in the canal. But that's not really our, place to make that decision or our place to try and enact that. I think the, parking at the apartments, we have not changed the parking at the apartments. Right now, it's consistent with the City of Mexico Beach Land Development Code. So we feel like we've made sufficient accommodation for that being consistent with the code. And I think those were the main 5 points that we had, and changes that we had made. You know, again, we've added additional parking, adding additional access, and relocated phase 2 of the apartments. And I think Chris can speak to some of the technical aspects of that, those changes.
Absolutely. So, one of the first things that Bridget mentioned was the relocation of phase 2 of the apartments to the north, also to the west, from where they were located before. What that does is by moving those apartments west of Salt Creek, it basically means that the phase 2 traffic will not be utilizing the same roadway or boulevard as the phase 1 traffic. Basically, it takes the traffic from the entire second phase of apartments off of Boat Ramp Road. Another thing it does is it will shift the need for, because now we've moved this phase, the apartments, to the west of Salt Creek. It kind of changes the anticipated plan of when different phases get built, just logistically with it being further away. So phase 2 of the apartments will come in at a later date now. And what we did in that place is we took the less intensive uses of single-family residential and townhomes and basically flip-flopped those. So we're putting the less intensive uses here and taking the more concentrated intensive use of apartments and putting it here. Evaluation, we did go through the process of checking to see if we could move it further to the west, but with the constraints of the existing wetland permit and what we had to have in conservation, what we were allowed to impact, that just didn't work. And the additional side of that would basically mean that the entire entrance, the entryway into the city on 98 would basically just be a corridor or a gauntlet of apartment buildings right up against 98 to avoid the wetlands. So we didn't want that to kind of affect the feel entering the city. As Bridget mentioned, we're proposing a dedicated boat ramp access across from Canal Parkway. We will be going through the DOT permitting process with that. Depending on the advancing traffic and the opposing traffic, they may come in and say that we may have to put in a right turn lane for deceleration of vehicles pulling boats coming in from town, taking a ride on that road. So all those safety concerns will be looked at through permitting with DOT. We also added an additional connector within the development in the commercial area, just to improve circulation between the existing Boat Ramp Road and the future boulevard. We added the dedicated turn lane, so now we are going to have, instead of just a boulevard entry coming into 98, we'll have a dedicated left turn lane for traffic heading back into the city from the Boat Ramp Road, in addition to a right and straight for traffic continuing through here. The whole idea is just to improve the exits of the boat ramp, add storage, to cut down on the delays there. Let's see. The other thing, so Bridget mentioned the expansion of the boat ramp parking. She mentioned the 2.28 acre boat ramp parking expansion. Really, total combined, we have 2 different phases shown for that. It's combined 4.06 acres. The 2.28 acres is the first phase. The reason we had to phase that out is because 1.78 acres of that actually falls out. It wasn't originally planned, but due to concerns that were brought up, we added that in. So 1.78 acres of that boat ramp parking expansion falls outside of the limits of what was originally annexed into the city. So we'll have to go through that process of annexing that additional property for that boat ramp parking in. So what we are proposing is that the first phase, the 2.28 acre expansion, which should roughly double the amount of parking that's available out there currently, will happen concurrently with phase one of the apartments. And then the additional annexation and construction of the 1.78 additional acreage would happen with subsequent phases of the development. Just a little bit more process to annex into the city and go through all that. Something that was mentioned again prior to the meeting, we just want to reiterate, we've discussed this previously, that no access for this development will be allowed on 44th Street. There's a roadway there that's existing, it's gated. The intent, that is just going to be for emergency vehicles only. That will not be open to any of the traffic. So none of this traffic will be going that direction. And then Bridget covered the added parking on the south side. The 54 spot dedicated beach access parking lot is further to the south, which again, just looking at the long-term planning and logistics of construction and permitting, that might be happening a little bit later down the road because we have to cross Salt Creek and do all that to get down here. So the parking area, the temporary parking area that will be at least equivalent to that she mentioned would be here in this other commercial area as an interim until that phase of development could be reached. But I think that pretty much covers all of the major changes that were made to the plan per the considerations of the concerns that you guys had. So I guess at this moment, if you guys have any questions.
Thank you. Yeah, if you have questions relating to the St. Joe project, floor is open for you to address them.
I'd like to ask a question. I was watching where you moved the second phase. Why has St. Joe balked at not moving the first phase in that same direction? And that would resolve all the complaints you've got here in the city.
Well, on the agenda today, we actually have the plan unit development approval and development order approval of the first phase concurrently.
That's not answering my question. I'm asking why y'all can't do that, and we wouldn't even have to be here arguing.
I understand, but all the design, everything, that's, that first phase has been permitted for all the different other agencies. So just as a compromise, moving the second phase, but since basically all the other permits outside of the development order have been secured, all the geotechnical investigation, all the site investigation for phase one has already occurred. That's why, it's kind of a compromise of taking that entire second phase and moving it, but the first phase remaining where it is.
We were talking about no traffic coming in 44th Street.
Yes, sir.
Which is, I have to say, my property is directly across the road from my property. Where the boat ramp road winds around and comes south.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's blocked off. Okay, and you're gonna put 2 more acres of parking for the boat ramp. Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
right there. You're gonna go further to the right.
Correct.
Okay, so will that go on the other side of where that road comes down? That's dead end right now?
Right, so right now, the road comes in right
Right.
here, and we were going to the east with that.
Mhm.
That road for the, let's see, efficiency of parking, that road will probably be reconfigured, that way, we can maximize the number of trailers and everything.
Go back down.
Yeah, and we're proposing our boulevard come down to, within, let's say within 100 feet or so of 44th Street and then ending. That is pretty much gonna be where that road picks up and creates a loop.
One more question, then I'll let someone know. The Garden Apartments, north, I guess it's well-known, Garden Homes, is that right there, those two?
Yes.
How many places are there?
That is 216 units.
Okay, 2-story garden, or there?
I believe those are gonna
The
be
apartments are
three-story, yes,
Three-story.
with a max building height of 48 feet.
What's a garden?
Mean height.
If that's 3 stories tall, is it 3, like one apartment
groups of buildings, so there's multiple units per building.
Okay, I'm always looking, when I'm thinking garden apartments are 2-story, and everybody has a little yard in the back there. You know, that's called, where they have a little garden, that's what we call a garden apartment. Garden house, stored. So I'm saying, you stand there 3-story.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how are those apartments laid out for people that, you know, I'm interested.
Sure.
If I buy one of them, and I got a front door, do I go up 3 floors? Or is it all in one? I'm trying to figure out what kind of garden houses.
They are, they'll be, for long-term rental, we're not offering them for sale. And they will have individual units on each floor, so it'll be multiple units per floor. They will not have elevators, they'll all be walk-up units. The townhomes, the villa townhomes will be
The
2-story.
townhomes, yeah.
Yeah, and those, have the potential to have the little garden plot in the backyard for people, and those will be individual units, 2
they-
stories.
Are they gonna be long-term rental also, the townhomes?
The townhomes, so everything on the north side of 98, we're planning for, primary living, so any rentals will be long-term rental, and we're gonna put that in the covenants and restrictions so that that is managed by the homeowners association here, and we don't end up with a bunch of short-term rentals.
Is there anything in the whole thing that will be for sale, or is
The
everything?
townhomes and the single-family homes will be a mix of for rent and for sale. We just haven't finalized that yet, it's, out in the future. Sir?
The apartments up there, yeah. Now, who will manage that complex after you guys do all the infrastructure, get everything built and everything? Who's gonna, because that's gonna be a lot of rentals right there.
Yes.
So who's gonna manage that?
So we've created a joint venture partnership, and we've got, Hillport is our joint venture partner for the apartments, and they will have on-site management, and they'll be responsible, the joint venture will be responsible for the leasing, making sure the tenants are doing what they're supposed to do.
Will the sheriff department have another precinct up in this area, or can they handle it from where they're at now? You know, I mean, I don't know how, my idea of fire, you know, police, you know, patrolling and everything, seems like with, just more, you know, more people coming into the city, then, you know, I'm just wondering, it'd be nice, maybe they need a little.
We'd have to
precinct.
address, the city would address that.
City would, okay.
Well, with the, prior to, just a second, prior to, you know, actual construction of all this, you know, this PUD approval doesn't authorize any construction. We'll have to come before the planning and zoning, before the council, separately for each phase of construction, which we actually have the first phase, the apartments, on the agenda later. But prior to, construction of each subsequent phase, you know, there will be impact fees, associated with each phase, and those will go towards, helping to fund those things, in addition to the tax base increase.
Okay,
Yes.
I just need some clarification. Bridget said that there was gonna be a second entrance to the boat ramp road, and then you said that there's gonna be turn lanes and stuff, so is there gonna be a construction entrance, second entrance for even the phase 1 apartments? It'll be different from the boat ramp people, or is it all the same, or what?
So the original boat ramp road starts about where we have our boulevard entrance, and then it bends around.
Correct.
So our boulevard entrance, which is then going in further into the development, is aligned with where the boat ramp road currently connects to 298. A little bit eastward of that, across from Canal Parkway, is the second dedicated boat ramp access location that Bridget was referring to. So really good. So there are 2 options. There, you know, will be 2 options for entrance into the boat ramp, either with the boulevard and then following what's now the existing alignment, or this separate entrance off of 98 that intersects with the existing alignment further to the east. Did that answer your question?
I think so, I was just,
Okay.
you know, I'm still concerned about the construction, but if you said there's another way in beside that main
Yes.
road, then you would have it.
Yes, sir.
May I address the council, or is this just for them?
No, this is for them.
Okay. You guys, is anybody on a boat? serious. Right now, coming out of Boat Ramp Road, you pull up there, you got the bridge. You're just coming out with a boat. You look, nobody's coming. By the time your truck is across the street and your boat is still coming out the turn, cars are coming over there. You move that road closer, you're either gonna have to put a stop sign there, or it's gonna have to be a traffic light. Because everybody coming out is gonna be getting a new boat because it's gonna be head-on collisions. There's no way that could possibly work. The other thing, you listened to pretty much everything we asked for, and I appreciate that. You moved this over, you did that, you added to the parking, the boat ramp. You're right now, just with what you have planned, you're making Mexico Beach another third bigger. You guys gonna, I know we leased the property from them. Any plans of putting in another boat ramp? There's enough room right there to add one on the other side.
Yeah, we had talked about that, and the current lease allows for, modifications to the existing facilities. And so I think what we would do is work with the city, at the appropriate time to try and explore the feasibility of doing something like that, adding additional lanes. We haven't included it as kind of any contingency on this, application, just because we've already got the lease document that facilitates those type of discussions.
And it seems just looking at it that the basin would accommodate that. The other thing is we didn't want to try to sell a package of goods of expanding the boat ramp or making any modifications there strictly because of the other agency involvement. That might be saying, yeah, we're definitely gonna do, look into doing that, but, you have Army Corps of Engineers and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. We're certainly gonna investigate doing whatever is possible, but that's a pretty large limiting factor with the state and the federal government.
But I mean, looking at what your plans are, you got the boat ramp, you got the parking, you're gonna add a parking lot up here for boat storage. You already have that plan, so you're gonna add another probably 100 boats right there being parked. You have to add another ramp.
Well, and
You
the
have to
reason,
do that.
and the reason, and I'll address the roadway, additionally, but the reason we're adding the additional parking is because it has been brought up as a concern that during the peak times, whether it be, coming up on, opening a red snapper season or whatever, it's more about, yes, there are lines, people looking to launch boats, but what do people do with their vehicles and their trailers after they launch them? I mean, they're parking them all the way up, Boat Ramp Road all the way to 98. So that was more the immediate concern that we wanted to try to address by expanding the parking areas, giving and maximizing and achieving a greater efficiency with that boat and trailer, or with that boat trailer parking, to try to alleviate that burden of the just facilitating the parking of the boats.
Is there a reason why you can't move your access road down this way, a little bit further on 98, and have it come in like a side street and then come into your apartments and just leave the boat ramp road where it is? You need that distance to see over the bridge. There's no way that's gonna be approved by
They're
DOT
wrong.
unless you do that.
Excuse me for interrupting,
Okay.
but DOT will dictate that.
Right.
It's their road, it's not, they
Well-
won't dictate it and we won't dictate it.
And I mentioned I was gonna address your
That's
concern
okay.
about the safety. Absolutely. And that's what I meant by DOT's gonna kind of dictate what happens there. Pulling out into traffic, they very well may say you don't have the sight distance because of the vertical obstruction of the bridge and the speed limit. They may say you need acceleration lane, so instead of just turning directly onto it, you'll be, turning into an acceleration lane and getting up to speed. So, the safety concerns about turn lanes, accel lanes, decel lanes, whether this is a full left-right access or whether it's a right-in, only access for the city, that's all gonna be dictated by DOT, but prior to, actually going through that, we have to go through that process with DOT and have DOT tell us, this is what you're gonna do.
DOT says no. If DOT says no, can you move your road down some?
If
Entering
DOT
into
says
your
no, we
apartment
can
buildings?
look at some other options there,
Okay.
separating the construction traffic from the boat
Mhm.
traffic,
Okay.
yes.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
say that phase one has already been approved by all the agencies, who are the agencies?
So we have, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, with the stormwater and wetlands. And basically the only agency that's left to approve it is with the local level, with the city of Mexico Beach. But we've already gone through the permitting process for all the other, state agencies. for phase one. So nothing at the local level, but the state.
As far as sewage, water, and infrastructure that you have to put there, is there gonna be a separate station someplace that can handle the sewage system?
Sure.
handle?
And that was part of this entire PUD process, was going through an analysis of the water and the wastewater. The city had an independent consultant, Panhandle Engineering, that reviewed all the information. Yeah, and it's more than likely that each phase is gonna have their own lift station to pump the sewage. And then, they'll be able to run and make the connections to the water system. But all of that has been, it's included in the report, and it's been identified, how much demand is gonna be required for the entire
I read that.
plan unit development.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
It's a logistics question. Why would you go through all the permitting process before getting local approval for the whole project? Now you're back with the problem of not having approval, you've already, you can't make changes, you've already committed yourself to approvals points. Why would you do that?
A lot of times, the state's requirements for stormwater treatment and all those things are above and beyond what the local requirements are. So it's kind of one of those things where if you can't get something approved by the state because they have stricter requirements as far as treatment and attenuation and just handling all that stuff, it's like, all right, let's see if we can get this through the state, and then we go through the local level, and you can do modifications to your permits after the fact.
Your process is backwards. It's like,
Are there other questions for St. Joe? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
As far as officially opening the public hearing, do you need any?
Well, I would suggest you treat all of those question and answers as part of the hearing.
Well,
You want all that on the record, but this is the part of the hearing that would be what people are more used to. Tell us what you think, talk to the council.
Okay, we will open the public hearing, and those of you.
Again, I would treat all that prior information as part of your public hearing. You want
But
all that.
we're gonna now address the questions that want to come before the council. Mr. Bush, you had a comment?
Yes, Mayor. Jim Bush, 130 Palm Street, and I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for the P and Z. However, I firmly believe that the 3 P and Z members that voted for the PUD before would agree with what I've got to say. Okay, my initial opposition to the PUD as it was originally written was that it violated the basic tenets of the comp plan. And we addressed 4 issues that we brought up to you that we asked you to address in whether or not you would approve it. I would like to applaud both Bridget and Chris for the work they've done. I think they did a really good job addressing those issues. They addressed every one of them, and in my opinion, their solutions are reasonable. They're not the best solution, but we're not always gonna get the best solution. So at this time, as an individual, I would like to withdraw my opposition to the PUD as it's currently written. And the only thing that they didn't really address was moving the apartments further west. And if anybody in the audience wants to know why they can't go further west, see me after the meeting and I'll explain it to you. Because that has to do with the comp plan also. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay? Yes, sir.
My name's Gary Woodham. I live at 113 North 38th Street. I'm gonna read what I wrote since we have time limitations. There are a few things I would like to clarify regarding St. Joe. In 2005, I was on the city council with Butch Dale, Bob Ginsburg, Al Caffey, and Mayor Rising. During that time, St. Joe Company sent 2 reps to one of our council meetings to discuss annexing 554 acres of land into the city. This development was to be called Bonfire Beach. St. Joe then invited the entire council and their families to the development called Watercolor, gave us a tour and advised us this was what Bonfire Beach would look like at completion. The rep stated that if we, the council, would annex the 554 acres into the city, that St. Joe Company would give the city the land where the boat landing was to be built. They would build the boat ramps and give them to the city. The council shook hands with the reps, and we voted to annex the 554 acres into the city. Shortly thereafter, the economy took a turn for the worse. St. Joe Company downsized, and a new administration took over. Two reps from St. Joe Company came back to city council and stated that the new administration would build the city its boat ramps, but had decided not to give us the property or the boat ramps. Instead, they would give the city a 20-year lease renewable every 20 years. I then asked the mayor, Al Cathy had taken over as mayor, if we should sue St. Joe for breaking our agreement. The mayor said the city didn't have the money to fight it, so we agreed on the lease agreement. Right now, this council has the best opportunity it will ever have to negotiate with St. Joe over the boat ramp and the land that they have offered the city. I've spoken to all the council members who are present today, and two of you told me that you would not vote for the St. Joe PUD unless the city had received a clear deed of the property promised to the city. To avoid another situation like Bonfire Beach, I would recommend this be done as well. Please do not misunderstand. I have not heard one person say they were against this St. Joe development. We all support the idea of new growth. What we oppose is the apartments being built so close to our homes and the boat ramps. It makes no sense to put apartments behind homes when it does not fit in with the aesthetics of the community. When you enter Mexico Beach, there are condos on both sides of 98. The apartments being moved more west would create a better flow of three-story buildings, and it would be more visible to people as they enter into town in their search for housing and closer to the base. Gentlemen, I congratulate all of you for what you do. This job's not an easy job this council has, and I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I just hope God goes with all of you, and that you will think about what you're doing and make a decision that will benefit this entire community, because the vast majority of these people here that I see are against what's fixing to take place. Thank you.
Others? Any more comments from the public before we close?
Alex?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just like to concur with the gentleman here with P and Z. This is something that, if we could go back to October 9, 2018, everything turned back like it was, I'd be all against this. But it's not. I mean, everybody can see the obvious. The city is in financial straits. The only way I see out of it is some growth. I saw their first plan. I had some of the same issues you thought about it in the first plan. I've seen the changes they've made and the fact that they have been listening to not only our council members, but our public feedback. And, you know, is it something that I thought we'd ever see? No. But I never thought I'd see a Cat 5 hurricane either. So for those reasons, and, you know, again, ultimately, this could come whether we voted against it or not. We just wouldn't get any input to it. So, you know, again, I don't relish y'all's jobs. I wouldn't, you know, what decisions you gotta make, but I think as far as going ahead with the city, we've gotta support this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just stand here.
Greg Dickerson, 116 North 38th Street. And again, just like you're hearing the citizens say, we're looking at the growth, we're looking forward to the growth, we'd like it to be controlled growth. Mayor and City Council, I would like to take a minute to set the record straight on a comment that was made after the last City Council meeting. It was stated that residents had had 7 months to review the St. Joe Company plans, and we had waited until the last minute to raise concerns. Those comments are simply not true. On multiple occasions over the past 11 months, voices were raised and ignored. Hundreds signed the petition, which was ignored in August 2019. Also, recently, many emails have been sent. I've been informed that a lot of them have not been returned. But I understand, everybody's busy and a lot is going on in our city. We don't expect an apology, but would ask that going forward, you do not disrespect the citizens of Mexico Beach and blatantly mislead the media or anyone else on feedback that has been given to you if you were to choose to ignore it. From the beginning, the first meetings with St. Joe Company, there are people here that would be glad to stand and testify as well that were at those meetings. And the citizens of Mexico Beach advised St. Joe Company, even in March 2019, that their conceptual plans did not conform to Mexico Beach now or in its future. On August 13, 2019, City Council was presented with petitions from 366 citizens and neighbors objecting to the density change that was asked for by St. Joe Company. Those, a week later, were given to St. Joe Company, and the mayor and city council ignored all the citizens again and passed the density increase at that time. Also be aware that at that time, there's only around 400 citizens in Mexico Beach. Okay, and that's 366 of those. Even today, the citizens of St. Joe Company continue now, we see, to make changes here the last couple of weeks. We've had citizen outcry, and St. Joe Company again has come forward and made changes even as current as today that we see. So we see that there can be changes due to the citizens coming forward now and being able to voice their opinions. Again, these citizens are from all areas of Mexico Beach, and have been speaking up from the very beginning, March 2019. So we want to go on record that there are citizens that were present and did do that. In recent meetings, citizens asked to consider the phase one, to have all the apartments moved to the west side of the development. When you come into Mexico Beach now from the west side, just like Gary Woodham explained, you come in across that bridge, you see buildings on the left, buildings on the right. Are they apartments? Are they condos? What are they? We've gone back, and this is one of the citizens' largest requests here, is to look at those apartments and ask that those be moved over to the west side. As you come into Mexico Beach, we understand that we have a certain atmosphere here. Our people here are amazing, our town is amazing, and we're wanting to keep it amazing. If you were to install that and landscape it properly, it would be an incredible thing to see coming into Mexico Beach and to welcome Mexico Beach. Again, this is one of the main requests citizens continue to ask for in reference to even the changes that we even probably see today. We'll do a poll after the meeting. But what we do see is this can be done in a way that will look great coming into Mexico Beach again. When phase one is approved, it will set the precedent for the rest of the developments along with any future developments. Furthermore, it will forever change and can change Mexico Beach. It can either enhance it or it can take away from it. And our city council is here representing the citizens of Mexico Beach. And we are asking you to deny what you're seeing today, which is just a recent change. That's what we see right now today. Again, we'd ask you to put all personal preferences aside and do the right thing for the city and citizens of Mexico Beach and deny phase one. As again, we do see that it can be changed. Let's find a way to better embrace a partner with St. Joe Company to further refine their investment in Mexico Beach and keeping our great city great. The general welfare of our community is in your hands. We thank you.
Yeah, Don, go ahead.
I've got just Al, I saw 75 units of lodging. What is that lodging? What are we talking about lodging? Hotel? Okay, hotels. I mean, 75 rooms, okay. Is that like the old governor? Where's it gonna be at?
Down here at the beach.
At the beach, okay. So how many buildings on the beach side are gonna be 3-story tall? I mean, or is it gonna be,
Don, with due respect, we opened the public hearing to address the council. We've had ample opportunity to
Well,
discuss that. So
I live right there next to
I understand.
where their property's at, so I'm gonna say what I wanna say, and I'm gonna get a question answered by her.
Well, wait a minute,
How many
wait a minute.
three-story
Sir,
buildings?
wait a minute. there's a protocol for this meeting. I'm trying to.
Respect too, okay?
That's what I said, with due respect.
I'm 74
trying
years old. My
to get you
questions
to
don't come that fast.
but that's something you could ask her. I would prefer, as we said when we started, this was for the city council. So if you would direct your questions to us, that was what we started out, that's the way we're gonna keep this, okay?
One more.
Okay, thank
I've
you.
run some worldwide projects up to $28 million, okay, so, but I'm not a financial planner. That's where, in a bind the city is. I've been here 30 years, I understand all these things, hurricane and everything. Municipal bonds, things like that. Financial people look at, raising money another way, I mean, that's what I'm wondering. I haven't heard anything about finance.
Well, we have discussed, we definitely have water and sewer bonds, that
Well,
we're paying off.
most towns and cities, small towns, cities, they look at municipal bonds and everything, and they're in a bind, and we're in a bind, no doubt. So I just thought that, I just wondering, are we in such a debt right now that we don't need to have a financial planner look at municipal bonds and investment things in bonds and stuff?
Every day we do that. Believe me.
That's just my idea, having worked with large projects.
Yes,
before.
Jim, hang on. Yeah, go ahead.
Debbie Allen, 106 20th Street. My concern is that I was at every meeting from the original March and looked at the conceptual drawings and did voice my opposition to quite a few things. I do like what they've changed. I wish that they could change the apartments if they can't, but I'm happy that they have made some changes. My biggest concern now is the boat ramp. We sold every accessible piece of property we have to the canal except for the one by Blue Water, which there's no parking. So I would love to see them sell or transfer the deed to the city for the boat ramp, and that's my biggest concern that's left. Thank you.
Rob Cruz, Colorado Drive, Mayor, Council, you guys are gonna vote on this. I mean, it's coming. We're not gonna stop. I appreciate what you've done. You've listened to our concerns. Things have moved, they've changed. But again, the boat ramp issue. Is there a way to get that property? I know at the PZ meetings a while back that I went to, they talked about, when this all came up, about providing recreational. And they talked about a way of getting that boat ramp over to the city. That way you guys will own it. In the future, if this place starts getting crowded, you get more of this, more of that, you can do whatever you want with that boat ramp. You can restrict it just to the people in Mexico Beach. Keep people from outside of Mexico Beach even using the boat ramp. But you gotta own it first. And please, look at trying to do that. Work with these guys to get that property. and
That's
make
been
it-
addressed. That's been addressed.
I'll just
And
voice
there
it.
is no commitment for a fee simple ownership of the boat ramp. What there is a commitment for is for a very comprehensive lease. And if some of you missed that, we made a request to St. Joe, and they agreed to extend it midterm, which we're halfway through the 20-year lease now. They've agreed to extend it an additional 10 years, which is a big deal. And the lease agreement that we have with them has been fulfilled to the letter by both sides. We have never had any issues with the lease. So I can only speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
It's my understanding, Lisa Logan, 402 Maryland, it's my understanding that the city council members have received specific figures on how much property tax and how much impact fees this will generate. Can you please speak to that?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, somebody can do that.
I think my math here is correct. But it looks to me like we're going to have with phase one, impact fees, which totally go to the city, over $1 million. And then if phase two comes on later, it's gonna be 4 to 5 million more. This money will be paid to the city prior to building starting. Am I not right on that? I don't always trust my math,
Is that going to be split among the 5 impact fee funds, or is that 1 million per fund?
Now we're gonna split it among the council members. No. This all goes to the city, and I'm here till June, so I'll be sitting out there fussing with the council about where that money's going after June first. But right now, every bit of that comes to us, and,
So right now, you don't know where that's going, it's to be split among all of them?
no,
Is
no.
that-
Jerry, can I help you a minute?
Go ahead, help a lot.
These are enterprise funds. They're dedicated funds. Water and sewer are enterprise funds. They are not general funds. So the impact fees are dedicated monies that are not part of the general fund. Ad valorem tax monies are part of the general fund. So when we have a water impact fee, we have a sewer impact fee, and we also have, there's a park, there's a fire, there's a, I forget them. But, Mario has those. I don't mean, but
No, that's
I don't
okay.
want them to be confused that we get the money, the enterprise funds get the money.
That's a good point.
And that's, can be misleading, so.
Yeah, I was misleading there for a minute. I had a tendency to do that.
And on the property tax?
The property tax, my figures are showing somewhere around $175,000 a year.
Is that for phase one, you're saying?
Yes.
And is that the total that goes to Bay County, and what percentage does the city get of that?
That's all Mexico Beach. Yeah, and, by the way, well, no, this is probably something else. We need to talk about this meeting before it's over, about looking at the impact fees, because I think the last time they were changed was like
2005.
4, 5, yeah. So that's a possibility of looking at that.
So let me clarify, you're saying that phase one will bring in 175,000 in property taxes?
That's a guesstimate, yes, on my, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be 150, but it's not gonna be, I can't say it's gonna be 172.35 either. But that's a guesstimate, and it's a reasonable guesstimate from the figures that I came up with. But we've gotta remember, I was an art major.
Okay, Jim.
Okay, I'm speaking now as a member of P and Z. This information is for the board, St. Joe Company, and the audience. The reason that the apartments can't be moved on the west side of town is, and I quote from the comprehensive plan, "The city's intent is to use this comprehensive plan as a template to maintain the current town development pattern and historical appearance of its architecture." You look at the current town development pattern, okay, you don't have any large apartments on the east side of town. It's all individual residential, and that's exactly what we need on the west.
Are there other comments as far as, yes, ma'am?
Alan, I'm Connie Johnson, 120 North 38th Street. I have one question about the boat ramp. If Mexico Beach purchases that boat ramp, we also have to upkeep it, right? So the way it is now with the lease is St. Joe property keep.
Well, we do the grounds. We do, if we keep it clean, if it's minor maintenance, if there's substantial damage to the walls or the aprons on there, then we go to them and say, look, we gotta look at this and come up with a plan. But any improvements to the boat ramp requires a letter to St. Joe outlining what we're gonna do. We did that on the first parking lot extension. We did that with the fish cleaning table. We did it with the power. We did it with everything that's down there. And they have been receptive to seeing that our needs are met.
But who pays for that? They pay for it now, or we do?
The improvements, we do. We pay for it. We pay for it. But the maintenance of the ramp, the big dollar items, the aprons, the concrete aprons, the walls, all of those, according to the lease, the maintenance of those, we would go to them, show them what's going on. We haven't had that. The storm, we think, did some wall damage, but we haven't actually confirmed that yet. But that's the way the lease reads. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, and good afternoon. I'm Carol Roberts. I'm president of the Bay County Chamber of Commerce. I just simply wanted to come down today to thank you for the role that you're playing in the rebuild of Bay County and its economy, and specifically Mexico Beach's economy with this project. I came down a little early because I haven't been down in quite a while since the devastation. I walked in the door today and I had to give Mayor Kathy, and I give everyone in this room a huge high five on the tremendous progress that you've made. It's like night and day. You've come a long way, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Okay, do we have other hands for comments as far as the public hearings? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Jean Byrne, 101 Ocean Plantation. I would just like to thank all of you for your really thoughtful consideration and for you for listening and working with people. I think it's pretty clear we need the project, but I feel confident with your response to the concerns of everyone that we'll all be moving forward together. Thank you.
All right, now when we close the public hearing, we close the public hearing. So I'm going to say it again for the benefit of those that might be hesitant to raise your hand. Do you have a comment? You have another comment? Come on.
Yes, I do.
Come on.
This is simply a very strong suggestion. Would you please leave these large maps in the City Hall conference room so that we blind people can have access to them, because it doesn't work trying to see it on the computer. Everyone needs an opportunity to see
I think
it.
we can certainly accommodate.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. We're gonna close the public hearing, come to the table. Excuse me. The procedure would be, is there a motion or discussion to read ordinance 741 by title only?
Make a motion to read ordinance 741 by title only.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion? Any discussion?
This is just to read, not to approve, right?
Well, the motion to adopt is after this. This is the motion to read.
Okay.
Okay, is there any opposition to read? You gonna read it?
I'm gonna read.
Okay.
Bear with me, we've got a lot of numbers in here.
Yes.
You don't have to read it all.
Ordinance number 741, an ordinance adopting a planned unit development overlay district, PUD, for the parcels of land lying within the city of Mexico Beach, Florida, containing approximately 554 acres, located along the west side of the city on both the north and south side of Highway 98, including parcel ID numbers 04101-010-000, 04101-030-000, 04-101-060-000, and 04-102-010-000, and all is more particularly described in the body of the ordinance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, and providing an immediately effective date. And this would adopt the master plan we've been describing.
Motion, excuse me, or discussion to adopt ordinance 741.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 741.
Motion on the floor to adopt. Is there a second?
Would this be a time to ask about our property that the St. Joe Company is giving the city? I think I'm the one that made that bad statement about until they gave us the city, that they gave us the property, and I signed the deed. Of course, I once said I was only gonna be married once in my lifetime, so, that didn't work out very well either. So, does this come into play or what? Does this make
It's
any
not,
difference?
it has nothing to do with ordinance 741.
Well, it might have something to do with somebody's, okay. No, I'm just here till June.
There's a motion on the floor to adopt ordinance 741. Is there a second?
All right, me being the new guy,
Okay.
let me, so we're fixing to vote on whether we're yes or no for what's been going on. Or we're just doing the reading, I don't really.
No, we're adopting the ordinance.
We are
Motion
adopting.
and a second, then there's still an opportunity again for discussion, and then a vote.
Okay, so I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Count. Any discussion? I just want to say before I vote, that when we met in St. Joe, I think Jim said it about as well as it can be said, but I want to also thank you for taking to heart those areas of the PUD that were considered concerns. I think that our community, that our voice was heard, and I consider that to be a compromise, which I think is what community partners are about. And St. Joe has shown their desire to be a community partner prior to the storm and most definitely after the storm. I think that moving forward with having a piece of property the size that they have down there, that we will see the benefit of having one owner under our umbrella of our LDR as far as our development order process to see what's going on, what's gonna be there, how's it gonna look. The opposite of that is happening as we speak today on that other development where we know nothing. So I just want to say to those of you that are here and have spoken, I thank you for doing that. I appreciate your position. I appreciate your concern for our community. I thank you for listening to us. We have a motion and a second. Are there any other council comments before we? Okay.
I have a question about the boat ramp, when do we do that?
When you
Something
say
that I
boat
talked with
ramp,
Mary
what-
about. When do we do that?
Help me.
Again, to extend the boat ramp to add additional slips. It is something that would be a work in progress because you still have to go through DEP and the Corps of Engineers, and that's what Chris was mentioning. It's hard to commit to something knowing that there's the complexity of the permit. They are willing to work with us according to the mayor. It's within the lease. It is a working lease where we can go after things mutually to go after a permit to do that. I have also talked to Dina, and there are fish and wildlife grant opportunities to go after the design for that, and then in the next cycle we would go after the grant to actually build it. So we can go through a process and actually get additional slips built into, and when I mean slips, I mean launches, not slips as in, keeping the boat. But it's a process. It isn't anything that could be memorialized here other than we will go after it and try to accomplish it.
Well, all I was trying to do was to let everybody know that we're thinking about trying to make the boat ramp, instead of just being 3, being 5 boats. And we've got all the new space, so if we can get the other 2 ramps, then that's gonna really go a long ways to alleviating, the new boats that they're gonna be putting in, the 100 boats or whatever someone said, from the new phase. I think it's gonna be a lot easier to get boats in and out and launch. It's not gonna congest. And then with the 4 acres that they've added for parking, I think that's a huge step. And if we can get the 2 ramps, hopefully it'll all happen. And I just wanted everybody to know that we're trying to make that happen.
That takes a letter from the city in writing of our request.
Okay.
And then we negotiate with St. Joe about what it is we're looking at, see where we just sort of work through that process together.
Okay.
And that's what but it's initiated by us in a letter to them about concerns and possible ways of looking at expanding the actual ramps.
Okay, but what you're also saying is that everybody, both parties are favorable to try to
Well,
make it happen.
they mentioned, before we, I mean, that, yes, they mentioned that they had already sort of
Okay.
put that under their periscope.
Okay, well, I just wanted everybody to know that we're working on that, because I think that's a big bonus.
Okay, are there any other council comments? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy,
Yes.
Mr. Pollock,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
No.
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Key,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 4-1, and we will move forward. Do we want to, are you going to, leave these boards? I just want to.
Yes, we'll leave, all the new, I've got 2 new boards of the
And then
same
we can
thing,
transport
and I've
them to
got
City
the-
Hall.
Yeah, the one with the aerial, you're welcome to all 3 of those.
Okay. All right. Next on our agenda is the Phase 1 development order. That's been in our packet. That has gone through P&Z. It has been scrutinized by Panhandle Engineering. It has been, excuse me. This is the actual development order for Phase 1 as presented, as we've seen today. Marty, do you have anything to add to that?
No, sir, Mayor, the planning board did review, and they made a motion to deny, but based on the comments that were made on the PUD, and the items on the PUD haven't been addressed.
Mayor, one comment I have.
Yes.
There's a lot of overlapping issues from the long discussion we just had. In this hearing, I would just encourage you to, when you make your motion to approve or deny, to incorporate all the evidence and comments from the first hearing into this matter as well, because a lot of people probably will hesitate to say the same thing again, but we do want to consider all those comments for our record.
Okay, I guess I was assuming that would be, but that's a good thing. Let the record know that all of the comments registered also then will, or should be made part of the Crossings Phase 1 development orders listed on the, listed in the agenda. So, are there questions, comments, council comments, or motion to accept the Crossings Phase 1 development order? And once we get, if we get a motion in a second, we can have additional discussion. Chair will entertain a motion or comments.
I make a motion. They do it all day. We accept the, development order for Phase 1 of the crossing.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion, second. Are there questions or comments from the floor, from our citizens on the development order? Council? Any additional questions, comments? Again, it's been through the, no other? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy.
Yes.
Mr. Pollock,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
No.
Mr. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Key,
Yes.
All right, next on our agenda is ordinance 742, which deals with food trucks and trailers. This is the one that I think we massaged, I think would be the right word, is that?
Right, last meeting, we chose not to do the first reading because you wanted to clarify that food trailers were allowed. That's been added, so it's now
Yeah.
food trucks, food trailers, and modular buildings are addressed in this ordinance, and clarifies that they can remain for up to an additional 2 years. The ordinance contemplates that the council will reevaluate this in a year. We could shorten that period, but it'll fall to 2 years.
All right, this, again, this is one of those lingering things that we've talked talked about just trying to give clarity to those folks that are trying to decide what they can do in town and how long they can do it, and try to feed those of us that are here, so, is there a motion to read? And this is only the first reading, and this is not a motion for adoption, it gives us another length of time to discuss, but is there a motion to read ordinance 742 by title only?
Make a motion, we read ordinance 742 by title only.
Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any opposition to reading? Dick, are you on the?
Ordinance 742, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, allowing food trucks, food trailers, and modular buildings to remain or be placed at certain commercial locations for up to 2 years, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
All right, and, we need to make sure that gets on our next meeting for second reading. All right, moving on, Dana, you have sat so quiet. And you're up.
Next item is, we have put out for bid the stormwater cleaning and inspection of our stormwater pipes citywide, where we have observed that we have sedimentation and we're not sure about potential damages inside the pipes or inlets. We ended up with 4 bids. There were errors in the mathematical calculations of the bids, so we've corrected those. There's a bid tab in your packet that shows the correct numbers for that. The bids were based on unit pricing, so even if they were summed up incorrectly or multiplied incorrectly from unit price to quantity, those have been corrected, and it was clear in the instructions to bidders that it was unit price based. So based on those results, it appears that GAC Contractors Inc. is the lowest bidder. So included is a notice of award for your approval, which would award the contract to GAC in the amount of $144,964.60. This should be FEMA reimbursable, with the caveat that wherever we find actual damage, so any place that we inspect or remove sediment and we find damage and sediment is considered damage by FEMA, it should be reimbursed.
That's a terrible word to use, should. Could you say that? I want to make sure I understand now. If we do this and find nothing, it's not reimbursed.
Right, so if you think of it by quantity, let's say we have 10 feet of pipe, and we believe that there's sediment in the pipe or that there's damages to the pipe, and only 9 feet of the pipe has sediment or has damage, they would reimburse us for up to 9 feet, but that remaining 1 foot that didn't have sediment and was not damaged would not be reimbursable.
So we don't have any way of knowing.
Well, we have gone through citywide and looked at all of our pipes and the ends of the pipes and the inlets to determine and try to narrow down where we are fairly confident there's either sedimentation or you can see visible signs of damage, at the surface where a pipe may be disjointed and caving in. So this is, I say citywide, but it's a narrowed scope to the areas that we've inspected and believe there is a problem. And FEMA has gone out and inspected the same locations and included this in our damage description.
How much was it? $145,000.
Yes.
Have we done enough city people inspections to feel comfortable that we have, that this is a good $145,000 spend?
We've gone out 3 times, I believe, and looked at all of the pipes and inlets. We've gone out also with FEMA and narrowed it down to the areas, again, where we can either see that there's sedimentation in the pipes or where at the surface you can tell something's happened and there's settlement, which would indicate pipe damage.
Did you do any scoping? Can you do scoping?
This is the scope.
So
This
that
would
is
allow
scoping.
us
So
to
we
do
sent
scoping.
an eye down there and looked.
Yeah, yes, we looked from the surface and from the outside.
Okay.
This would be our camera inspection, as well as cleaning those pipes out so that they start flowing properly.
So with those cameras, as updated as they are these days, you get a pretty good picture of what's there.
Yes. The next step would be then to move forward with repair based on, this is very similar to what we did with our sewer, citywide sewer. We did this step first so we could quantify the damages and repair those.
How close did we hit that one?
That one's still being reviewed by FEMA, so, but we based our repairs off of the camera. We did find sedimentation in nearly everything that we, scoped.
Yeah, we need a discussion or a motion to accept a little bit for cleaning that out. I'm just. What do you?
A lot of money to stick down a drain, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would move that we accept the,
GAC contractors.
yeah, I can never get that right. Say that again.
GAC contractors equals the lowest bid.
Well, yeah, the contractors' amount of money to spend on cleaning the pipes, is that too much?
It's just not right.
Well, that's why we miss Rex, he used to get that all the time.
Well,
What about Bobby?
I don't know.
I'm good at second.
I don't know. You,
What about Dina
well,
praising? I don't think we have a choice, I think you gotta get it done. Whether I worded it right or not.
Well, where will we move it on to? Where do we stand?
Well, through our discussions with FEMA, they can't agree to anything further than this at the moment as far as what they consider damaged, because we can't see inside the pipe. So unless we can prove to them the pipe is damaged, our damage description is essentially what's included in this bid as far as what they're saying could potentially be reimbursed. So from FEMA's perspective, unless we show them there's a damage to a pipe or an inlet, which is what this will allow us, they're not including any other damages for reimbursement at this time for our stormwater repairs. I think Thomas can speak to several stormwater issues we've had. The pipe along Florida is one.
Florida, you just hose bed, you put cars in along Florida, where that big culvert drains collapse.
So there's
That's major in
definitely,
Florida.
there's areas throughout the city where we know we have damage, but without
Anyone else
proof.
have-
the extent of the damage would far exceed, the extent of the repair would far exceed $145,000.
Yes.
Based on just Florida alone.
Just on Florida alone.
Yes.
And I think there's some areas along Seventh Street in Jordan, Maryland area that's sinking in also in that ditch line.
Is that the one we've already fixed in the road that got started?
No, that's what the roads in the ditch line.
You said it's stormwater cleaning and cleaning is what, if they find it stopped up, then they will.
Clean. And FEMA considers that damage too. If the pipe is full of
Full of
sediment,
sand, dirt.
even if it's, a few inches, they consider that to be damaged.
Okay. I make a motion, we, award GAC Contractors Inc. $144,964.60 for storm water inspection and cleaning.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Keith?
Yes.
Dana, you're still up.
Yes. The next one is our final change order for Salt Creek. This would allow us to use $1,000 out of our current contingency for that project to install underground electrical service across the bridge. Originally, Duke had said they would go overhead, but after talking with the city, we decided underground would be the best option there. So this would, we followed what Duke said they would need, which would be 2 3-inch conduits on both sides of the bridge, and these would be sitting over the structure and backfilled above. It does not increase the overall total project cost because again, it's coming out of contingency. This change order will also, it's an overall reduction to the contract of $216,600, which is change ordering out the remaining unused contingency in the project as we are nearly done.
How does the house on that side get power? Underground or over?
It'll be underground once we're done.
Oh, that's, so this is what we do.
And everything along Salt Creek past the bridge was underground. So Duke would have to come over the bridge, set a pole, and then go underground and keep going. Well, that one 200-foot span would be overhead in the middle of everything. For storm hardening and for just go underground the whole way. We wouldn't have this one piece of wire hanging in front of the bridge the whole time.
Do we, on the contingency transfer, is that, you need a motion though to do that?
Yes, because we're allowing to use 1,000 of the contingency for that change and then the total reduction.
All right, do we have a motion as such to reduce the contingency by $1,000 for that changeover?
$1,000. Make a motion, we reduce.
Well, the total reduction in the contract is $216,600. You could just, could they just approve change order number 3? You could just approve change order number 3.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve change order number 3.
Second.
We have a motion to second. It's not often we do anything for $1,000. I didn't know we could do anything.
We had two.
I know we're not, but it just, all right, we have a motion and a second, further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Pollock?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace? Mr. Key?
Yes.
All right, are there any miscellaneous? Mario, why don't you go first?
Mayor, we have the benefit of having Mexico Beach Artificial Reef Association that is a big part of our community. And they're an extremely efficient machine, and they typically go after artificial reefs, constantly. They have another cycle this year. They've put in for $93,000 worth of artificial reefs to go in within our waters. And they need us to partner because it takes the municipality's initiation with them. What it does is, if approved, the city would pay the $93,000, and within 30 days, the state pays us back for the $93,000. And Mexico Beach Association also has contingency funds where if the city did not have that within its capital to make the payment, they could make the initial payment to us to make to FWC, to then get reimbursed, and so on and so on. But again, because it takes monies from the city to process this this application, I need your approval to push it forward.
This is something that we've done for a number of years. We've always gotten our money back. They're an amazing organization. All right, so is it 93,000? Is that the amount?
It's in here, and I'd have to.
Yes,
I didn't get that.
I didn't see
And
anything.
again, this is brand new.
Okay.
He literally brought it into me here today.
We'll give him a call, so he can make a motion.
Yeah. Need a motion there.
Let's see if we do.
Yes.
And I don't know if the dollar figure's that easy to find. I'd have to
I'm looking.
skim through it.
Well, then just MBA or
Yeah,
a.
that's good.
Second.
I don't see it. I make a motion, we, pay for the NBAOA $92,309.50 to be reimbursed.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion second, to partner with MVARA. Any questions, comments, discussion? Is there any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
And then, Mayor, I'd like to thank Dina and EPA and Kimberly, if she's still out here. The event this weekend was spectacular. Again, there was a lot of planning that went into that, Bobby and the Special Events Committee. Absolute roaring success, and giving us the ability to make those two little workshops at the tail end of the food line meant that we got exposure to thousands of people where we might have only gotten exposure to 20 or 30 people. So kudos to the special events for putting on such a roaring success of an event, and then staff. And again, all these things have been happening for the last 16 months. This isn't something that happened on Saturday. All these workshops and all these efforts have been going on ever since the storm, and lots of people have put in a lot of work, and I just want to give kudos to everyone that has helped put this thing together and be able to bring it to the public, so thank you.
Anything else? Nick, you have anything?
Not today.
Sandy?
The only thing is, just before we walked in, I got a phone call from the VFA, which is Voluntary Fire Association. They have repaid our grant. It was deposited into our account. I have not seen it in writing in that account, but I've been told it's back in there. So thank you for the loan for us so that we could accept that grant. It's all quiet above today, but they will be back in there hammer and nails tomorrow. We passed our first inspection, so they're closing everything in now, and it'll be all guns blazing. So it's on track. Other than that, we thoroughly enjoyed spending time with you on Saturday, and as I've said before, anytime you need us, you know where we are. Just call. Thank you.
Dina? Thomas, you don't have anything? Council members? Darryl, you have anything? Your time, if you do.
Thank you, Quinn. I'd just like to thank everybody for being open-minded. You know, if I was a real smart man, I'd probably waited until my seat came open, but I wanted to jump in as quick as I could because, you know, here's what I want everybody to know here. I'm gonna do everything that I do based on the most people that I can talk to and the thing that's gonna keep Mexico Beach. The worst thing that we can do is not pull together as a community and keep our city incorporated, keep our charter, and not get to the point where it's unincorporated and let Bay County have it. And so that's what my goals will always be.
Do you have any comments?
Absolutely not.
I want to thank Mr. Williams and the Sheriff Department, and Martin, that's you, for the little Valentine's Day stealing we had going on there, but I really want to thank you. My wife don't believe you trying to buy my golf cart. There were 4 sheriff cars and 1 crime scene investigator in my yard. But thank you for catching them. I think y'all did a phenomenal job, and I really appreciate you. I really do.
Bobby, you have any?
Darryl said a lot right there. We want to try to keep our city going. We love it, and we may have different ideas, but our main concern for everybody here, I'm sure, is to keep Mexico Beach. We don't want to go to the county, so let's do what we can. Let's work together and keep our city going.
Marty, what about you? Thank you, Bob. You have, from the sheriff's side, you have any comments?
As long as y'all happy, we're happy.
Well, we're happy. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Where does the city stand in its search for a new city clerk? And when is her last day?
End of the month. And ours,
We have 4 applications.
I saw 3, so we have 4.
We have a 4th
Okay,
application.
the 3, we have 4 now, I'm told. So we're into our second full week of it being on the League of Cities. No and we get city clerk send them to us.
One of the problems is, the new city clerk will not be dealing with a $5 million budget. They'll be dealing with a 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 million dollar budget by the time we're dealing with FEMA and reimbursements and all that. And this person needs to come in, hit the ground running, and we're not gonna get anybody for what we're offering to pay. And I think it's time we just opened our eyes up and said, hey, because Panama City they're not doing very good, and they're offering what, 85,000. They can't find anybody. Nobody wants to, we've gotta have, this person's gonna have to be much more qualified from the standpoint of education than we've ever had to have a city clerk. If we're gonna
find somebody.
I hope so.
We're
Well,
gonna
yeah,
find
we will, sooner or later.
All right, thank everyone for coming. Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I second that.
I do want to ask you a question. When you come out,